Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and in this video we will be dissecting the Mark of J. Gonna pause it here while I explain that. What I do is I look at some of the greats. I've looked at Hutch, Only Use Me Blade, Socrates, I've looked at Sandy Ravage, and I break down their gameplay and try and figure out what makes them successful and share that with you guys. So let's take a look at this in action. First thing I noticed about this video was his opening route. He doesn't jump on C flag like a typical player. Instead, he plays crazy aggressive, and he already has these guys stunned and naded off the bat. That was a double. And then this guy, he should have won that gunfight. That's what they call a blop shot, which means that he killed him with his primary weapon while he was in the act of falling. And that'll happen. He does die a bunch of times actually in this video, but you'll see there's no doubt that he plays strongly. Let's rewind this and take another look at his decision making right here. He's going to get into a gunfight with 3 people at one time. He takes out 2, 1, and then there's a second guy right there on the ground, 2. He ignored the third, so he backed off. Rather than trying to fight all 3 at once, set a trap in the form of that sticky grenade. The guy walks in and kills himself. Now there was a 4th one that got him, but that's going to happen. It's not about perfect gameplay, it's about gameplay that we can learn from. Alright, if there's one thing I can say about the routes that he's running here is they are super aggressive. I imagine that he would rather stay to the edges of the map and limit the directions from which he could get shot, but he's focused on winning this game, and that means taking the Bravo flag. Once you have that Bravo flag, then you can sit there and play TDM all day long. Now, look what we have here. I asked him about that decision to switch to the FAL. I wasn't sure what the deal was. It's a curious move. To me, I grab the FAL when I think things are going so well, and I switch away from it when I realize I'm in a tough fight here. He went the opposite way. He grabbed the FAL when he knew things were hard. So I wrote to him and I asked him, what was your decision making here? Why would you grab that gun when you had the AK-47 before? He told me that on this map he was expecting to get into a lot of long distance engagements, and he's right when he said that the AK-47 is pretty lousy at those engagements. It kills really slowly across the map because so many of the bullets miss, whereas the FAL on the other hand is pretty low recoil, and if your aim is strong then your bullets will go on target, and it's a high power weapon, so it'll kill in just a few shots. And watch the kind of damage that he does with this thing. He's amazing with it. Oops. But so yeah, he switched to the FAL, not to gimp himself like so many others do, like I would, but he switched to it because he knows how to use this gun. And that to me is one of the impressive things about some of the top players on YouTube. These guys can beast with any gun in the game, and he's one of those guys. If he were to use dual Scorpions, he would probably use them in the same way he'd use a shotgun, right? They're real powerful up close, and really weak at a distance. He's using this thing in the way that I might use a FAMAS. The thing is really accurate at a distance, and he takes advantage of that. Makes sure that his engagements are on his own terms, and gets into fights where the guy hopefully isn't in the same room. Look at this. That one's a little slow, but it would be hard to get some of these shots with the AK-47 that he's able to nail with this FAL, because the FAL, it kills what you pointed at. Now this is actually pretty late in the game to grab Bravo. I'm pretty sure that if no one gets Bravo by 50 points into the game, that the game is over. It might not be 50, but I think that's what it is. So with those guys double capped, he needs to make sure that this thing happens right now. And he's jumping on it at first all by himself, and he finally gets some help and nails that cap with only probably about 10 seconds to spare. Now, notice how super extra aggressive he is right now. He's already earned his last kill streak. He has a philosophy on these kill streaks that once he has his 11, he's in no particular. It's not that interesting to him to stay alive any longer. He's more than happy to speed things up and push his way towards earning his next kill streak. If you watch his gameplay a lot, sometimes he stands way out in the middle of nowhere and allows the team to get their kill on him while he's operating the chopper gunner, so that the minute that he hits the ground, he's free to start earning his next chopper gunner, which is a pretty cool idea. If you're getting molested by a chopper gunner, then the obvious answer is to stay indoors and wait for the thing to pass. Look at that. I didn't even know you could do that with an FAL. It is to stay there and let the chopper gunner pass. So what a lot of guys do is they like to get their dogs. The spawning doesn't necessarily happen indoors. There is no real affinity towards an indoor spawn when a chopper gunner is up. So if you have the dogs killing people, getting a constant stream of guys popping up outside, then you'll have a constant stream of new targets, and that's his idea. So you noticed he let that guy capture Bravo, and that was something I asked him about too. I said, you know, did you think that he was dead? Or did you want to extend the game? You know, what was your theory in there in letting that guy have Bravo? And what he told me was that he wanted predictable spawns. So he was triple capping the guys, and the game was ending in a hurry, but that wasn't his primary motivation. His primary motivation was to get these guys spawning right on Bravo, or, you know, at least at a place where he would know they were coming from. That to him was preferable than maintaining the triple cap, where they could pop up anywhere, and, you know, spawns tend to flip really quickly when you're triple capped. The way that domination works with these spawns is they have an affinity to the flag that you own. So, you know, if you have, for example, AB, they're likely to pop up at Charlie all the time. Now, it doesn't mean they'll only pop up at Charlie, but they'll almost pop up at Charlie. That's how that works, and he knows that, and that's why he's giving them one flag. That way he knows roughly where they're going to be coming from. Now, obviously he's doing work with the SR-71 up, but even when the SR-71 isn't up, I noticed he does a really good job of shooting at people who aren't shooting back. He somehow manages to find routes of navigation where guys, he's always flanking them from the side. Oh, he got rescued right there. He's always flanking them from the side. He's always finding these routes that he can run where they're not necessarily looking at him. And that was really impressive to me, and it's one thing I've noticed that's common across a lot of these super players that I dissect. They, you know, they're not trying to win, you know, 11, 15 gunfights in a row head on. Instead, they're finding a way to find gunfights where all the odds are stacked to their advantage. And that mostly comes from the routes that they run. You know, I remember Sandy Ravage, he seemed to move from cover to cover really aggressively, so much you'd think he was sprinting all the time. But if you watch the routes he ran more carefully, he would run behind things all the time. There was always a car in between him and his opponent or something like that. Taking out road rage with an FAL. Nicely done. With MarkOfJ, I guess it's in the way he moves and the way he navigates that he always manages to catch these guys from the side, and that was really impressive to me. Alright, now one thing about the kill streaks that he runs high kill streaks, and, you know, I have some thoughts on that too. It's important to set kill streaks that are appropriate for your skill level. So if you're a guy who gets to this, you know, chopper gunners or dogs once every 20 or 30 games, you might have a better time running something like spy plane, napalm sentry gun, or whatever your favorite low kill streaks are. There are some good ones down there. Run a care package. If you're running these chopper gunners and you're not actually getting them, then you should probably take a step back and run something that you can get a little more consistently. But when it was with MarkOfJ, obviously that's a different line of thinking. Another thing he does, like I mentioned earlier, is he will stand out in the middle of nowhere and call on this chopper gunner. Why? Because, you know, he's excited about getting his next 11 kill streak. He likes to get a couple of them in a game. For me, you know, while I can sometimes earn these 11 kill streaks, they're much more precious to me. So what would I do differently? At my skill level, where it's not about getting 3 chopper gunners in a game or something insane like that, I like to put my character where I don't want them to spawn. In a case like this, I would probably put it in the big building behind CDOM, all the way at the edge of the map, because people go in there and, you know, they can spawn in there, or they can go in there and hide from your chopper gunner. If you put your body in there, then it's going to force their spawn to be somewhere else. It'll push it elsewhere. It'll flip it, at least to some extent, and you're more likely to get outdoor spawns while you're working your chopper gunner. So that's my advice for guys, you know, who aren't, you know, rapidly working on, you know, 3 chopper gunners in a game, like people who are MarkOfJ type players would be. Another thing I noticed that he does is he calls the SR-71 almost immediately, and that's a good move. It's the same thing I do, but there is another school of thought. Look at this. You know, and it's to his credit that everybody doesn't seem to recognize that he's there, and he thought that was a dead body, I'm sure of it. But another school of thought on the SR-71 would be to save that thing and call it at the start of your next life so that you can work your way back up to it again. But yeah, I could go either way on that. So that was the MarkOfJ. He's a really outstanding player. There'll be a link to his YouTube channel in the description, and you can check him out. They'll also be on your screen screen here links to the playlist of the other major commentators that I've dissected. You can check those out. I hope that you like them. And then there's another link on the screen to yesterday's video. It's me running around with a sniper rifle, and it actually goes pretty well for me. And I talk about how the sniper rifles have changed over time in Black Ops. So pick one, watch it, sub to Mark of J, and have a nice day.